First off, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakak, Wadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Shalom, salutations to the hopeful elect that's fighting the good fight of faith in truth, in sincerity, and wholeheartedly. And shalom to the Akwat, which is the women believer. Shalom to you. And it says, Babylon hath been a golden cup in Yahweh's hand that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine. Therefore, the nations are mad. And why are the nations mad? So I want to look up the word mad. And it's halal. And all the way at the bottom, the last two. So it says to make a fool of, make into a fool, to act madly, act like a madman. But the point is to make a fool of, to make into a fool. See, what happened is these nations, and not, the EU was finding out because we in that time, but even the nations around, like, Japan and Afghanistan and people like that. Egypt, the other nations outside of the Edomite nations, they realizing that, wait a minute, we made a deal with the devil. See, at the time it was sweet. It was sweet to them, because when you're able to print money out of thin air, so the powers that be, they the one that causes, economies to collapse and civil wars and things that will make a nation crumble. And then what they would do is that they would lend those nations money to get them out of their bind. Then they will make the interest rate so high that they cannot get out of. Now you become a servant unto them. Now the nations is mad. Now let's talk about the EU. Now when you go to Revelation 17, it said that they gave their power unto the beast. So they thought that it was a good deal. All right, America, you be on top and we'll ride with you. They thinking that America have their best interests at heart. No, they don't. So here's what happened. When the Federal Reserve came into play in 1913, that's when they was able to print money out of thin air. The gold standard, all right, wasn't no more gold standard eventually, of course, but they end up becoming the economic hitman. So the Federal Reserve note became the number one currency in the world with the most purchasing power. And everybody had to come through that. That's where the petrodollar come. So now we at the end. Babylon is fallen. The sanctions backfired. But you got to understand the banking family's doing this on purpose. So you got Yahweh Basham, Yahweh Shai, who is dealing with Gog and Magog. And you got the banking families with their own agenda. They're trying to crash the economy because they want to bring in the electronic imprint. The Lord is using Gog and Magog to destroy this place. He's rising them up. So ever since the sanctions happened, Russia been on the incline and America been on the decline. Even the European Union. Then you have a schism or a division between the United States and the EU, because majority of the EU get their gas and oil from Russia. So, and America telling the EU, hey, you can't deal with Russia, but you still have EU going behind America's back to getting oil. So the nations are mad. They came under the umbrella of the dollar, which made them more of a servant than a ruler with them. To whoever controlled the money, as One of the Rockefellers said, I don't care who make the laws. If I got control over the money, he don't care who makes the laws because he control who makes the laws. He put the presidents in office and he control the world. All right. So what is the wine? Because it said the wine. They drunken of her wine. Number one, the money system. Then their democracy. So you got people who, because when you go over to the Middle East, it still has some biblical principalities. It still have biblical principles, which now that's not the case because you got America pushing their democracy, which democracy is really an illusion that you think that's giving people, the majority decision over things. But the game is already rigged. So with democracy comes do whatever your heart desire. Your woman get to run rampant. They look to America for every answer because he got the money. Whoever got the money, he's in control. He makes the policies. He makes the laws. Then with money, you need money to go to war. And if you got money, guess what? You're always going to be on top because you can pay people to fight for you. And you got money to make weapons. Poor countries can't fight. See? The only reason that I'm speaking on this right now because it's beautiful the way it's playing out. At one point in time, America was a sparkle in everybody's eye, even to the other nations. Now the nations are mad. We are in this time. This scripture is one of the Hebrew Israelites 101 scriptures. This is one of the scriptures that when you come into this truth. You're going to hear this scripture a lot. But we're really in this time right now. So let's get into this is the ultimate wine of why the nations is mad. Yeah, also because he transgressive by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home. He enlarges his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. That's his wine, his democracy. He got everybody following his way of life. That's his wine. His education, his science, his religion, his way of life, man. And then the number one wine is the Federal Reserve note. So everybody is under, the dollar until now. At one point in time, the dollar was the only dollar that really mattered. Now it's on the decline because America out of here. So this man is proud because he had the whole world in his hand because the Lord gave it to him. Not Job 9:24. The earth is given into the hands of the wicked. So with that, the nations is mad because guess what? You gave your soul unto the devil, thinking that he was going to have your good interests at heart. Do you understand? They call themselves the Illuminati, which is the light bearers or the bearers of the light, which is on the left-hand side. They only care about, so you have the third Illuminati bloodline families. Then you have one man who rules that. But then you have the others, then you have the CFR, you have the round table, you have I'll call them the agenda of pushers, like the celebrities. So they got all these people in their back pocket because they have the money to give them to follow their way, not understanding that it's a more sinister. He wants to have your soul. So even the people who, he basically is a backstabber, So matter of fact, I forgot to get the Apocrypha. Because even though we use this scripture when it comes to our people selling souls, but this actually applies to the nations too. So it said, if thou be for his profit, he will use thee, but if thou have nothing, he will forsake thee. So this is what he done to the nations. This is why the nations is mad, because at one point in time, he needed you. So if you're on his side, that means it's less enemies. So now the nations is mad because they realize, like, damn, we got the shitty end of the stick. We gave our allegiance to the devil. a man who is wicked by nature, a man who is not fair. And it says, if thou have anything, he will live with thee. Yeah, because the nations, when they were, looking at this place and feeling like they was winning, it said, if thou have anything, he will live with thee. Yeah, he will make thee bare, will not be sorry for it. So that's what he's doing right now. He's doing what he's doing. He's stripping the nations bare. Even he even, like I said, going back to the oil and gas thing with Russia, like that's where the EU, that's where they make their living from. And now you putting sanctions on the very same thing. So you're stopping their livelihood, all because you want to push forth your agenda. And it says, if he have needed thee, he will deceive thee and smile upon thee and put thee in hope. He will speak thee fair and say, what wantest thou? So after he use and abuse you, he will act like he ain't do nothing. Like, I don't know what you're talking about, sir. So even though these scriptures right here is morally for our people who sell their soul to the devil, but the nations too, they sold their soul to the devil. And now they finding out that this ain't what it is. That's why the scripture talks about how, I'm going to end it on that scripture. It said, he will shame thee by his meats until he have drawn thee dry twice or thrice. And at the last he will laugh thee to scorn afterward. When he seeth thee, he will forsake thee and shake his head at thee. So the nations is upset right now because they made a deal with the devil. Matter of fact, let me get that now. So this is why the nations is going to do this. It said, all the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There is no understanding in him, because he ain't consider his later end. He ain't think that all the backstabbing and using, abusing people was going to actually come back on him. So the people right now, like, I can't wait to see this play out, because, right here, this scripture right here, this is really, really the end time scripture, because something is going to happen where the EU and the people that's in alliance with NATO is going to deceive him and turn on him, because NATO, devilish asses is going to do something. All right. That's going to get the European Union say, you know what, fuck this whore, it's time to burn her with fire, as it say in Revelation 17. So I'm going to end it on these three scriptures. And I saw another angel fly in the midst of heaven, having an everlasting gospel to preach unto them that dwell on the earth, and to every nation and kindred and people, and tongue and people. So you can't say that you ain't know the truth. The men of the Lord is everywhere preaching, in other countries, all over Babylon the Great, and is on the internet. And it says, saying with a loud voice, fear the Most High. This is the message that the men of the Lord give. Saying with a loud voice, fear the Most High. All right. And give glory to him, for the hour of judgment is come, and worship him that made heaven and earth and the sea and the fountains of the waters. And there follow another angel saying, Babylon is fallen, the great city, because she made all nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. Let's look up this word wrath. Thomos. So it's a passion, angry, heat, anger, forthwith boiling up and soon subsiding again. Glow, adore, the wine of passion, and flaming wine, which either drives. That's not what I want. I looked this up earlier. I think yesterday. Hold on. I maybe read it too fast or something. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. I read right past. It said, which either drives the drinker mad or kills him with its strength. So that's the point. The point is that these nations, They drunk of the wine, and now they're mad because they got the shitty end of the stick. You know, as we read in the Hebrew halal for the word mad. You know, they was made into a fool. You know, so the nations is mad. So it don't matter all the propaganda that they put on the news, and they're acting like, you know, EU is still down with NATO. The prophecy says otherwise. The EU is separating themselves from NATO, and they're going to cleave on to Russia. That's what I believe. All right. Now, in Ezekiel 38, it talks about the nations that's going to cleave on to Russia. You know, Persia, Libya, Turkey, you know, Iran, India, you know. So, but as you see, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and they're trying to join the BRICS, you know. So, hey, man, we so close to the end, and this devil, guess what? He's about to pay. You reap what you sow. The Most High is not mocked. Hopefully this video is edifying, and shalom.